Hey, this is lesson 4.6, quick graphs using slope-intercept form. So when we finish, I expect you to be able to create a quick graph using slope-intercept. In addition to that, I want you to be able to look at the slope and determine if two lines are parallel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the y-intercept. We've done that before. We've done that by plugging in 0 for x. So when I do that, I've got y is equal to 3 times 0 plus 5. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. So the y-intercept for this one is 5. What about this one? Y is equal to negative 2 times 0 minus 7. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. So this one, the y-intercept is negative 7. Ooh, fraction. Let's see how this one's going to work. So once again, y is equal to 1/2 times 0 plus 3/4. 0 times 1/2 is 0. 0 plus 3/4 is 3/4. So my y-intercept, is 3/4. Now I want to see if you notice something. Oh, I'm in this certain form. 5, 5. Negative 7. Oh, negative 7. 3/4. My y-intercept is 3/4. So this form is called slope-intercept form. So what's this y-intercept without doing any work? That's right, my y-intercept is negative 34. Because when I say y is equal to 7 times 0 minus 34, once again, so it is the constant when I have an equation in slope-intercept form. So these are the answers again. Now when we talk about slope-intercept form, that means I have an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. This is why it is so important that you can rearrange an equation to isolate y. Because if you can isolate y and you can get it in this form, it gives you a lot of information. So the m value, or the coefficient of x, it's the number that is in front of x, tells you what your slope is. This b value, which we learned from our previous problems, is my y-intercept. If your equation is not in this form, you have to put it in this form. That's why we stressed moving those problems around. So now let's look. Let's find the slope and the y-intercept. And if you need a little reminder, I'll go ahead and write it up here. Because remember, y is equal to the slope times x plus my y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. So for this one, what's the coefficient of x? It's the number that's in front of x. Even when I don't see it, there's a number there. So for this one, my slope is negative 1. What's my y-intercept? It's equal to 2. Now let's look at this next one. Now it's all in a big fraction. But remember how we've done before. We know that if I've got x over 2 plus 3 over 2, that if I were to add that with one denominator, I've got x plus 3 all over 2. I need to be comfortable breaking this guy apart. So what I'm going to do, another way you can look at it is x over 2 plus 3 over 2. Now what is my slope? So I've got y is equal to 1/2 x plus 3 over 2. What's my slope? Oh, my slope is equal to 1/2. What's my y-intercept? Oh, 3 over 2. This one, what's my slope? Y equals 2x minus 5. That's the coefficient of x. See how all this terminology is coming back to us. What about the y-intercept? Be careful with this one. It's not just the number, it also carries the sign with it. So my y-intercept is negative 5. Uh-oh, Now I've got 2x minus 4y is equal to 16. I'm not in slope-intercept form. I have to rearrange it. Who do I want to get by itself? Y. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So now I have negative 4y is equal to negative 2x plus 16. Divide each term by negative 4. So now I have y is, see, negative 2 divided by negative 4. What is that? Negative over a negative is a positive, so positive 1/2 x. 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. So now it's really easy to see what my slope is. My slope is positive 1/2, and my y-intercept is negative 4. Now let's look at what we need to do to graph using slope-intercept form. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve our equation for y. I'm going to put it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to identify our slope. We're going to identify our y-intercept. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to plot the y-intercept. And then from that point, you're going to plot your second point using your slope. Then we're going to connect the 2 points and make our line. So let's take a look at one. Now on this one, my slope is the coefficient of x, it's negative 1. My y-intercept is positive 2. So I'm going to go on my y-axis, 1, 2. There is my y-intercept. My slope is negative 1. Now our slope, we talk about it as rise over run. So you may want to write it as negative 1 over positive 1. So from my y-intercept, let me get a different color. I'll get bright blue. I'm going to go down 1 in a negative direction and then 1 in a positive direction. Now another thing I could do, sometimes my graph is going to be kind of tight. I can go 1 in a positive direction, then 1 in a negative direction. So my rise, positive 1, run, negative 1. Now when I get my straight edge, which I don't have handy right now, so I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to draw a line through here, and there is my line. What kind of slope do I have? I have a negative slope, and look, my slope is negative 1. Okay, now let's graph this one. Uh-oh, I've got a fraction, x plus 6 all over 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this up again. So that's going to give me y equals 1/2 x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I've got y is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. Now that I have this, what's my slope? 1/2. What is my y-intercept? 3. I have everything I need to graph this line. So my y-intercept is 3. 1, 2, 3. My slope is 1 over 2. I'm going to rise 1, run 2, 1, 2. Now let's say I was up at the top of the graph and I didn't have a spot to do this. Can I go the other way? Well, I'm going to say that my slope could also be the point negative 1 over negative 2. Is that the same thing? Yes, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I can go 1 in the negative direction, 2 in the negative direction, and I'm still plotting another point that's located on this line. Now I can get my straight edge and graph, and that's it. What's my slope? Positive or negative? Positive. I can look at it and tell if it's positive or negative. Okay, now we're also going to talk about parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines that absolutely never intersect. Now when I look at this, do these guys look parallel? They look parallel to me. Now let's look and see if we can figure out the slope of the green line. I'm just going to do it graphically. So I'm going to pick 2 points. I'm going to pick this point and this point. I'm looking for points where it goes through an intersection on my grid. So I can tell that it's negative just by the direction. And to get here, I go up 1 in the positive direction, 1 in the negative direction. So positive 1 over a negative 1. So it gives me a slope of -1. Let's look at the red line. See, I'm going to pick this point and this point. Once again, I can see that it's a negative slope. Rise 1 in the positive, run 1 in the negative. Rise 1 in the positive, run 1 in the negative. What's 1 divided by -1? Oh, that's -1. So I can prove that these two lines are parallel because they have the exact same slope. So when we're determining if lines are parallel, we're going to put the equations in slope-intercept form, and we're just going to compare the two slopes. If the two slopes are the same, the lines are parallel. Okay, so I've got two equations. I want to determine if they're parallel. Y is equal to -3x plus 2. This one's already in slope-intercept form. This one needs to be moved around a little bit. I need to subtract 3x from both sides. So now I have y is equal to -3x plus 9. So I know that they're parallel, and they're parallel because they both have a slope of -3. This y-intercept tells me that they're not the same line. If I had the same y-intercept and the same slope, then I would be talking about the exact same lines. We talked about that earlier in the year. And the last one I'm going to let you figure out and unpause and just after you figure it out. Okay, so when you did this one, you should have ended up with y is equal to 3/2 x minus 4. And y is equal to 3/2 x minus 3/4. And what that tells you is I have the same slope, and if my slope is the same, I have parallel lines. And that's it.